Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching second part of What If Naruto Was Experimented by Orochimaru. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
The group has finally made it to Konoha's main gates. The two guards who were there came down to the group. Team Kakashi, Asuma, Kurenai, and Guy returning from their mission. It was Jiraiya who told the two Chunin. "Hi Jiraiya. Sama, it's great to see you again. Thanks for coming home. Hokage. Sama asked to see you when you got back." Someone told the Sannin. When the groups began to move, Jiraiya nodded. The other guard stopped the cloaked figure that was with the groups, though. "Who are you and state your business?" The other ninja said they were not sure about the figure. Putting up his hand stopped him from going on with the rest of the group. He heard this and turned his head to see what was going on. "That's my apprentice, Uzumaki Naruto," he said. "He's part of Team Kakashi." The ninja who stopped the teen looked at him angrily because he knew who it was, but he let him in because he didn't want to make Jiraiya mad. Nairo's head dropped as he walked by the man. This was seen by Hinata, Sasuke, and Sakura, who were behind Naruto. Sasuke was the last person to enter. The two girls went in front of him and gave him a quick look. "Hey." Sasuke said something to get the man's attention. "Hi Sasuke." "Sama?" The ninjas told the Uchiha with a smile. "If you have a problem with my Otouto, take it up with me." He said it without feeling anything, but he flashed his Mangekyu for a second. In an instant, the two men were taken to a red and black realm and then back to facing Sasuke. Their eyes grew wide. They agreed with what he said as he left to rejoin the group. What was that and how does he consider that Bakemono his Otouto? One ninja asked the other ninja a question. "That place we were sent to is not something you want to know about. We were lucky to only catch a glimpse of it. Also, Uzumaki-san is the one who brought him back. If I were you, I wouldn't make either of them mad." Ninja 2 replied quickly and jumped back to his post. Ninja 1 watched the group walk through the streets of Konoha. Sasuke caught up to the group and saw Naruto with his head down. He went over to join him. "Naruto?" Sasuke asked the boy a question. "You don't have to stick up for me, Sasuke." Naruto told him while smiling at him. These words made Sasuke sad, even though he was his little brother. Many people in Konoha stopped to watch the group and looked suspiciously at the figure in the cloak as they walked through the village. Naruto began to feel nervous as he took in the tension he was creating. "What's wrong with me? Being so scared makes me want to run back to the woods to be safe." Naruto believed. When Hinata saw that his body was tense, she walked over to him and put her arms around one of his covered ones. He smiled and looked down at her. The way she touched him made him feel instantly calm. "Arigato." She was the only one who could hear Naruto whisper. Hinata agreed with what he said. They kept walking through the village and went through the market area. He started to feel nervous again because there were so many people around them and Hinata was always touching him. Every time he heard a loud noise, he jumped and looked in that direction. He also started shaking so badly that Hinata could feel him shaking with fear. "Naruto-kun?" Hinata asked, worried about how the boys were reacting. "I hope we get here soon." Naruto tried to hide how scared he really was. For some reason, Hinata knew how he felt and turned to look at Sakura. "Sakura-san." Sakura asked Hinata, "Could you stay with Naruto-kun while I go talk to Jiraiya?" "Sama, Naruto-kun, I'll be right back. I swear." She then left Naruto's side and ran up to Jiraiya. Sakura looked over at Naruto and saw that he was shaking and tensing up a lot as soon as Hinata left his side. She could also tell that he was looking around quickly. "Jiraiya. Sama." She spoke loudly to get the man's attention. He turned around and saw the girl running up to him. "Hinata, what's wrong?" she asked. "We need to leave right now. I don't know how much longer he can handle being in the crowd because he's so scared." As Hinata finally got to where the man was, she told him. "Alright, we'll head there by roof then." As he jumped to the nearest roof, Jiraiya said. Soon, the others did what Jiraiya did, even though they didn't know why they were going by rooftops. Hinata turned around and walked over to Sakura and Naruto. She gave the girl a nod and then left Naruto's side. As soon as they jumped to the roof, Naruto felt calm again. Arigato again. He let out a sigh of relief and said, I'm okay. He was still shaking. What happened? Hinata asked, confused by his answer. I don't know, Naruto said, shaking his head. I just started to get nervous when I was surrounded by so many people. But you've been with us and haven't had a problem. What Hinata said. Maybe it was because we were in the wood, with more space, and I didn't feel like I was being trapped. Naruto said, not sure what had happened. Hinata gave a nod. That would make sense if he has turned into a more wild animal. They quickly got to the Hokage Tower and jumped off the last roof to get in. Mind telling us why we did that? Ino asked, annoyed that they had taken the rooftop route but still hadn't finished walking through the market. Jiraiya turned around and saw Naruto. When everyone looked at him, they saw that the boy was still shaking, even though Hinata was holding his arm. Naruto. Sasuke told the boys to pay attention. Naruto smiled nervously as he looked up at him, trying to hide what was bothering him again. The group let out a sigh. After that, they went up the stairs to the office of the Hokage. The guards, Izumo and Kotetsu, smiled as the group walked up to the door. The woman has been waiting for you. Hitaki Kakashi is with her at the moment. He came and took the auto. Nin yu caught to Ibiki, telling her what he knows. What Kotetsu told the group. Jiraiya said, yes, opened the door, and told the group to come in first. Make sure one enters unless I or Tsunade tell you it's okay. In front of the two guards, Jiraiya. Hi. Why'd you go so rough on that ninja Jiraiya? Sama? Who was Izumo? I didn't touch him. He said this as the teens walked into the room. Then who? What did Kotetsu ask? Naruto. That's all Jiraiya said as the last person in the group walked in. He then went into the room himself and shut the door behind him. When the Sannin spoke, the two Chunin looked at each other with surprise. Do you think? Who was Kotetsu? If he let Kyuubi go? I don't know. I know something bad happened to him. He is Jiraiya. Sama's apprentice, though. Kotetsu agreed with what Izumo said. Once Naruto got inside the office, he stopped shaking and stood as far away from Tsunade as he could. Namekuzi Oba. Chan. He said this while smelling Tsunade. Hi Naruto. Kun, she is that. Just don't let her hear that. Hinata laughed at what he said. Why that's what Oba Chan is anyways. Now that Naruto knew who she was, he said. I'm glad. What Hinata said. I asked Naruto, why? It didn't take you that long to recognize her. Hinata told him with a smile. I'm glad you're here. The last thing Kakashi said to me was about Orochimaru. Tsunade spoke up. So he's telling you how I kicked his ass? Jiraiya asked with a smile, hoping she would believe him. Because he lied, Tsunade hit him and said, Baka he was telling me how Sasuke Kun kick his ass with his Mangekyu. With my what? Sasuke yelled in shock at the news. Again, Naruto jerked when he heard the shout. You didn't even know? Kakashi asked, amused by the new. Kakashi laughed, and Sasuke shook his head in shock. That's interesting. You didn't know you had turned it on for 2 weeks while we were running around? It did happen right after Naruto went away. When you said you would bring him back like he did for you. It was at that moment that your Sharingan name changed to Mangekyu. What Kakashi told the boy. So it changed because he was worried about Naruto? When Tsunade asked. To keep someone you care about safe. I could have told him that, but I think it's more fun for them to figure it out on their own. Kakashi said with a smile and one eye showing. Why Iota? When Sasuke tried to walk to his sensei, Sakura stopped him. Going back. Jiraiya, Kakashi, and Sasuke had just left the group that was looking for Naruto to go find Orochimaru. Sasuke walked for a while until they got to a door with 2 pillars on either side and a statue of an angry snake around them. Yeah, you wouldn't know this is his room. Looking at the huge statues, Jiraiya said in a sarcastic tone. Right after, Sasuke opened the door and saw Orochimaru sitting there with his back to them, reading some scrolls that were on his desk. Hey Sasuke, it's great to see you again. Are you still going to come back to me? He asked Orochimaru without turning around. More like to retrieve my student Habi and kill you. Jiraiya yelled in anger. Jiraiya's voice shocked Orochimaru, who quickly turned around to see him face to face with the three Konoha. Nin. Jiraiya, I'm sorry to say you can't have him, the Kyuubi is mine now. Orochimaru said with a smile. Naruto's is not yours to keep as a pet or to control, and I'm here to make sure of that. Sasuke yelled in anger. Oh, and you three think you can kill me? Orochimaru asked as he slowly got up from his chair and stood in front of them. No, actually I think Sasuke can handle this alone. Kakashi said with a smile as he leaned against the wall. Oh really? Orochimaru asked with a raised eyebrow. Kakashi-kun, I taught him everything he knows. How is it that he can kill me? Oh, he has some new tricks up his sleeve. At that moment, Kakashi stood still and said, Sasuke, show us, Konoha, and Naruto that the Uchiha clan is still strong. He looked back at Sasuke and nodded. He then got into fighting stance and turned on his Sharingan. But as he did that, Orochimaru was shocked by what he saw. But how? He was shocked by what he saw in the boy's eyes and asked. That very moment, Sasuke's Chidori pierced him and he fell backwards on his stomach. How did it go? That's not possible. Orochimaru was shocked by the boy's sentence. But Sasuke was so set on killing the disgusting snake that he didn't pay attention to what the man was telling him. He turned to look at Kakashi, who was still smiling. Ome. Orochimaru yelled in anger. Kakashi smiled and shook his head. Actually, you were the one who did it. There is another way to move it forward. Care for a loved one, whether they are family or not. When Kakashi pointed at the man, he said, You Orochimaru, in kidnapping a person his considers his Otouto now is the one that released it. Orochimaru was speechless when he heard what the man said. Sasuke walked up to him and hit him several times with a taijutsu attack. Then Orochimaru fought back. He hit the boy, sending him flying through the air and hitting a rack of weapons in the room. Sasuke reached out and grabbed a katana that had just fallen in front of him. Orochimaru, this ends now. As Sasuke ran toward the man, he yelled. With Sene Jashu, he tried to change the teen's path, but Sasuke just dodged each snake as he ran toward the man. In an instant, Sasuke was gone, but he came back next to Orochimaru as he was mid-jump. Then he cut him with the katana, which sent his head flying to the ground. The body then fell to the ground and started to bleed. Sasuke went over to the man's bed, took off a pillowcase, and put the man's head inside it. Sasuke, what are you doing? Jiraiya wasn't sure what the boy was doing. Proof for Hokage. Sama, he's dead. Being calm, Sasuke said, let's go see if they found Otouto and then go home. End the flashback. Anyway, here. Naruto growled at Sasuke as he pulled out a big bag. What's this? Tsunade asked as the bag was set down on her desk. Orochimaru. Sasuke said in a casual way. Oh. R.O. Kai. Maru? Then Tsunade looked at Kakashi and asked, but I thought you said he was dead? He is. Kakashi said with a smile. When Tsunade saw what they meant, he looked at him and then at the bag and said, what the hell? Is that what I think it is, Kakashi? Anyway, why the hell did you let him bring that to me? Kakashi asked with a smile. Do you think I'd like that? With a wave, Tsunade asked about the bag. Kakashi smiled and shrugged when she asked, proof that he is really dead. With one hand on her head, Tsunade rubbed her temples. She then leaned back in her chair. Alright, so where's Otouto? He asked to change the subject and was also upset about what Orochimaru had done to him. When Jiraiya got better, he looked at the group and said, Gaki, get up here. The Naruto changed. He didn't want Tsunade to see him, but he knew it had to be done. Naruto-kun. He looked at her and said, I'll go up with you. If you'd like. Naruto smiled and said, that would be nice, Hinata-chan. After that, they walked from the back of the office to the front. Tsunade looked at the cloaked figure with doubt. She thought it might be Naruto. Gaki, why do you have the cloak on? Tsunade asked, confused by how he looked. He didn't tell you? Jiraiya looked at Kakashi in shock and asked. I hadn't gotten that far. Kakashi said with a smile while rubbing the back of his head in shame. Tell me what? This is what Tsunade asked the two men. What the hubby did to me, Oba-chan. Naruto told the woman what he meant. What did he do? Tsunade was shocked and asked she didn't know this before Kakashi told her. She looked at the man, angry that he hadn't told her this before. Naruto show her. Jiraiya said he was tired of the questions. Naruto cut his arms in front of him and said, Gaki, you not helping. He was mad at him, but he smiled at him. I want Iruka. Sensei here too. Naruto said he was set on getting what he wanted. What about our sensei? The boy wasn't moving, so Kiba asked. Okay, everyone's sensei and Iruka. Sensei, but that's it. I don't want any elders or anyone else, Naruto said with a nod. Not right now, anyway. He said Naruto. Jiraiya and Kakashi agreed, and Tsunade sighed. Okay, since you're not going to tell me what happened until they get here, what can I do? Shino should go get Iruka, Kakashi should go get Guy, Neji should find Guy, and Shikamaru should find Asuma. Shikamaru and Kakashi, please come back in 5 minutes. Tsunade spoke up. The people nodded, and they left. After 5 minutes, all but Kakashi's group was back. When he gets back, Tsunade was mad. The man was late, but a cloud of smoke in her office stopped him. Gomen, it's my fault I had to get someone to watch my class. Iruka said sorry. It's alright Iruka, at least it wasn't his fault this time. Tsunade glared at Kakashi and said. Iruka said, yes, and stood with Kakashi. Tsunade. Sama, why did you ask us here? She asked Guy. Naruto was the one who really wanted you here. I still don't know what's going on. All I know is that Orochimaru may have hurt him. Tsunade spoke up. It's not Might Oba. Chana, he pulled down the hood and said, it is. The adults who were brought in gasped at how he looked, and Tsunade put her hands over her mouth. Oh Otouto. Tsunade said she was upset by what she saw. Gaki, finish it. What Jiraiya told the boy. You mean there's more? Asuma was shocked and asked. Mendoku's hubby. Shikamaru spoke up so everyone could hear. Now do you see why I had the cloak? Naruto said as he took off the cloak to show what he really looked like. The sensei were shocked by what they saw. Iruka was the one who was hurt the most by what Orochimaru did to the boy. He walked up to Naruto and stood in front of him. Naruto smiled at him, but his old teacher could tell that he was sad. Iruka then stooped down and gave the boy a big hug. It's alright Naruto, we'll find a way to help you. I hope my words will make the boy feel better, Iruka said. When Naruto saw the man, he thought of his father and gave him a hug. He's right Otouto, there has to be a way to change you back from whatever Orochimaru did. Tsunade spoke up. Well, if you want to know more I can let you talk to Kyuubi. He said Naruto. Is it safe? The Kurenai asked. As safe as I am right now. He said this while looking at the woman. Well, if we were Otto. Nin, that's not saying a lot Naruto. Kiba said something and was knocked out by Sakura and Ino for it. Don't listen to him Naruto. Sakura said, hoping Kiba's words wouldn't make the boy feel bad. His eyes got dim for a second, but he smiled at her to let her know he was okay. What did happen and why was that Otto? Nin so injured? Tsunade asked why the ninja was brought in when he was in such bad shape. They were going to sneak into Konoha to spy for Orochimaru. The others talked to them while I was told to stay out of it. Naruto began to talk about it. Why? Is that because the boy didn't want to help? Asuma asked. Arrow. Sennin wasn't sure how I would act in the fight. However, I saw Hinata Chan get hurt and quickly caught her to protect her from further harm. I kind of lost it. Arrow. Sennin got them all out of there, and I fought them by myself. I don't know if it's because one of my friends was hurt or because of what Orochimaru did to me. Naruto told everyone what happened. Naruto calling Hinata Chan, made Tsunade raise an eyebrow. Yosh, the power of youth. Guy shouted with joy. So I got my chakra out and mostly fought them with speed and brute strength. That's how I killed the first 3. After we fought with Tai Jutsu for a while, I killed the leader with my claws. I used a jutsu from Kyuubi's memories on the other one, and Kakashi Sensei brought back the last one. What Naruto told them. But his injuries? When Tsunade asked. He wouldn't tell me what they were doing when I asked. He finally told me after I broke both arms and legs. It was calm from Naruto, but you could see sadness in his eyes. The adults were shocked that the boy could fight 6 men by himself with no problems. So do you want to talk to Kyuubi? Naruto asked with a smile. While she spoke, Tsunade sighed and nodded. Immediately, Naruto changed into a golden one-tailed fox with blood-red eyes. The fox sat down and bowed to Tsunade. Hokage. Sama. The fox said in a polite way. Kyuubi, I presume? Can he be changed back? Tsunade asked, and the fox said yes. Hi, but the hubby used an ancient jutsu and did the last 2 hand seals wrong, thus I believe causing the effect in the boy's appearance, erratic emotion and why he can't use certain jutsu. Kyuubi spoke up. What was he trying to do? Asuma inquired. The jutsu is called Zinrui no Kisu. His words made Tsunade gasp. Ah, so I take it you do know about it then? That person in charge of Konoha should know about this jutsu. How did he find it, though? Kinjutsu, and the Forbidden Scroll is the only place it can be found. It's still in the safe vault it's been in for 4 years. Tsunade spoke up. Well maybe, what if this wasn't the first time spies have been in Konoha? Shikamaru asked, drawing everyone's attention to him. What if someone had come earlier and copied the jutsu he wanted? That way, no one would know the scroll was missing and look for it. Tsunade agreed, that would make sense, but how did they get the hand seals wrong if they copied it directly from the scroll? He shook his head and said, I don't know. We might want to take a look at it. One more question, Kyuubi. Tsunade spoke up. Kyuubi told him, go on. Why the 1 tail and not 9? She asked him about it. My tails show how much power I'm using at the time, and since I'm only talking to you I need not use any of my power, correct? Kyuubi spoke up. Tsunade said, hi. I'm going to let the kid come back and just tell him what to say. Kyuubi spoke up. When Tsunade agreed, the boy turned back into a humanoid and asked, okay, Oba-chan, do you want me to get it? He asked Naruto. Go ahead. Tsunade was angry. Wait, how does Naruto know where it is? What did Ino ask? Someone who has stolen it before is the best person to hide it. The idea of OG-san. Naruto said with a smile as he looked over his shoulder. He went to the wall under the portraits of the Hokage and hit a few spots on it. The wall then flew open, revealing a room for scrolls. He then went down the hall, pulled out what looked like an old medical scroll, and left. Naruto, that's not the right scroll. It was Tenten. Says you, when I was able to steal this sucker 4 years ago, OG-san put a genjutsu on it to make it look like normal medical scroll. Naruto told Tsunade and gave it to her. Tsunade took off the genjutsu and opened the scroll. Alright Otouto, what he was supposed to do was Hitsuzi, Uma. When Tsunade looked at the last 2 hand seals, he said. Hi, Kyuubi said he did Hubby and Inu though. He said Naruto. The last 2 hand seals were exactly the same, so Tsunade didn't get how they could get them wrong. She looked at the scroll all the way through before she found it. The last 2 seals of the previous jutsu were snake and dog. That's what happened. Tsunade was shocked. Nani? I too asked Jiraiya. Look. When Tsunade looked at the jutsu from before, he said, they mixed up the 2 jutsu, that's why it didn't work. That's bad, but this is good. We only need to undo what they did now that we know what they did. So what did the jutsu he do on me end up happening? He asked Naruto. Well, the Zinrui no Kisu is supposed to make the person that it was used on completely void of all emotions and basically a killing machine. Tsunade spoke up. And who was the baka that created that? Ino inquired. A bad guy from when the Shodai was Hokage. They put the jutsu here and erased the man's memory so he couldn't use it again once they found out what he was doing. Tsunade spoke up. And the other jutsu? Did Choji ask? It is called Seishin no Ziko o Bakuru. Tsunade spoke up. But how could those 2 mixed together cause what it did to Naruto? I asked Neji. When the Seishin no Ziko o Bakuru hits its target, it shows them their true self. Naruto's case, holding Kyuubi made it show him, but when the 2 were mixed, it did a bit of both. At least the Zinrui no Kisu didn't completely erase all emotions from his mind. Tsunade spoke up. But what about him not being able to use henge? Sasuke inquired. That the work of the Seishin no Ziko o Bakuru, it can't be removed until the user removes it from the enemy. Tsunade spoke up. Well, that's great. I can't go back because the hubby is dead and my emotions and Kyuubi's are mixed together and too strong. Naruto was angry. Otouto, what are you talking about? Tsunade spoke up. I wanted to talk to you alone about that and something else. I believe he should go home. Have you got the keys? I too asked Jiraiya. Are you certain? Are you sure he's ready to find out? Tsunade asked in worry. After everything he's been through, yeah. Jiraiya said as Naruto gave him the key to his new home. I'm sorry, but I have to stay here. Hey, look at me. Naruto yelled and waved his arms around. You're not going to your apartment, Gaki, you're going home, and there's a difference. Angry, Jiraiya said. Are you sure? Tsunade asked once more. Take a look at him. No matter what, they will kill him right away if they see him. He'll be fine as long as he's there. He keeps it so hidden that only people who have been there before can figure out how to get to it. He said Jiraiya. He said, Kakashi and Iruka, I want you to take Naruto to his new home. Tsunade agreed. Tsunade spoke up. New home? Everyone was shocked. Gomen Tsunade. Sama, but Konoha doesn't have any new homes. In fact, every house is occupied, so what are you talking about? Kakashi inquired. There is one home that isn't occupied and hasn't been for nearly 16 years now. Jiraiya said with a smile. Kakashi's eyes got bigger when he realized what he was talking about. He then got smaller and said, I'll take him. But you and I are going to talk about this later and why I wasn't told. Kakashi yelled in anger. I figured as much. Mumbled Jiraiya. Okay, everyone, go home. You can rest for a while before I send you out again. Iruka and Kakashi, you need to stay with him until we get there. Did you get it? Tsunade spoke up. As Naruto put on his cloak again, the other two nodded. Kakashi. Sensei, where are we going? He asked. We're going to take you home. To the house Tucson left you. What Kakashi said. My Tucson. Naruto was shocked. Iruka could tell that Kakashi was mad because he didn't say anything. I need to ask him when we're not with Naruto. Kakashi then left, and the two people following him. As each member of Team Gaia and Chunin 9 went home, they all went straight to their room to rest for a long time and let what happened to Naruto finally sink in. However, Neji was able to go to his room without Hiashi noticing, but Hinata wasn't so lucky. Masumi. Hiashi told her not to go into her room before stopping her. How did it go? I asked Hiashi. All of the Akatsuki Tucson were killed. Sasuke. Kun killed Itachi too. Naruto. Kun was the one who killed the leader in the end. What Hinata said. Then why did it take you so long to get back? I asked Hiashi. Hiashi was shocked when Hinata's eyes began to tear up at this question. Masumi, what happened? Hiashi asked with worry. Orochimaru. Hinata said she could feel tears coming down her face. It took Hiashi a moment to believe that the missing Konoha Nin had been there. He went up to the girl and invited her to talk with him in his study. Tell me everything. He said this as he closed the door. She then told her father what had happened, knowing that her dad didn't have a grudge against Naruto. After hours, Hiashi left the room with Hinata still sleeping in his arms. He looked down at her and shook his head. She still had a red face from crying so hard about what happened to the blonde ninja who had helped their family. He put her to bed and locked the door. I need to talk to Hokage Sama. We must be able to assist him. Hiashi said this and then left the Hyuga compound. Iruka and Naruto were still after Kakashi, who had now gone into Konoha's forest. Iruka. Sensei, do you know where we're going? What did Naruto ask? Naruto, I don't think so. Kakashi is the only one who knows. Iruka spoke up. The three finally came to a stop, and Kakashi fell into the open space. There was a two-story house of a good size. Okay, Naruto, here we are. This is your new home. What Kakashi said. Nani? Whose home is this? Naruto was shocked when he saw the lovely house. Yours. Kakashi said with a smile. The outside of the house was made of dark wood, and the porch was also made of wood but had a red stain on it. The first floor had 2 big windows, and the second floor had 4. He looked over at Kakashi, who was still shocked. "Are you serious?" Naruto asked because he didn't believe what his sensei said. "Yep, here, go take a look around." He told Naruto this and threw the keys at him. He caught them and ran to the front door of the house. Iruka looked over at Kakashi when he walked in. "Oh my god, this is so cool." They heard Naruto yell. They laughed at the boy's voice, and Iruka turned to look at Kakashi. "How did you know where this house was?" did Iruka ask. "It was Sensei's old house." Kakashi spoke with a hint of anger in his voice. "Demo, your sensei was." "Then that means that Naruto is?" Iruka asked, and Kakashi agreed. "Nani?" Everyone in Konoha could hear Iruka's scream. The man was shocked to see that the boy he thought of as his own son was actually the son of one of the heroic people in the village. Jiraiya was finishing telling Tsunade about Naruto's emotional problem when they got back to Tsunade's office. "So what can we do?" Someone knocked on Tsunade's door, cutting her off. Jiraiya looked over at her and asked why she had a visitor now. Tsunade just shrugged, not sure who it was. Jiraiya went over to it and opened it. Hyuga Hiyashi was standing there. "Hiyashi." Jiraiya was shocked. "May I come in? I need to talk to you too." Hiyashi bowed to the two of them. "Hey, Sanin. I just put my Masumi to bed a little while ago," the man said as he walked in. The two Sanin nodded. "She has been in my study for an hour and a half telling me what happened with Uzumaki Naruto," it said Hiyashi. The two men were shocked that Hinata would tell them what had happened. "So what do you want?" Tsunade did not trust him and asked why he was here now. "Is there anything I can do to help the boy?" I asked Hiyashi. When he asked, why? They were shocked. I too asked Jiraiya. The boy has done a lot to help the Hyuga clan change their ways and has brought the two families closer together. I can't just sit here and let the boy suffer when he's helped so many people in Konoha. Hiyashi talked about. I was just telling Tsunade about how the boy's emotions changed because of the jutsu. I don't think he should be left alone right now. At the moment, Kakashi and Iruka are with him at his new home. He said Jiraiya. Also, where is that? There are no new homes in Konoha that I know of. Hiyashi asked. It's not new. It's the house his Atusan left him when he was old enough to understand who he was. He said Jiraiya. Really, and who might that be? Hiyashi was interested in this new information. Well, let's just say it's the only house that hasn't been lived in for a number of years. Jiraiya said with a smile, I'm sure the Hyuga head will figure it out. When he did, his eyes grew wide with surprise. Uzumaki is his Masuko? Helloashi asked. Both of them nodded, and Hiyashi laughed and said, I should have known. He is determined and has the spirit of his Atusan. That's not all that he has of his Atusans. Jiraiya moaned, I was about to tell her your Masumi, Hinata, seemed to be able to keep him calm the best, and I know you might not be for it, but I think if she stayed with him at the house it'll be best to keep him in check. Glow at what he said. He smiled, so Tsunade hit him on the head and said, he won't do anything like that, Tsukabe, and don't even try anything either. The angry Tsunade asked, so Hiyashi? Sama? If it will help the boy I don't object, though I want to make sure it's alright with my Masumi before we do anything, but I have a feeling she'll agree. It said Hiyashi. Oh, and why do you say that? When Tsunade asked. Next to that, she's had a crush on the boy since the academy? Hiyashi asked with a smile, and Tsunade laughed and said, she couldn't stop crying while she told me what happened. I can see that her pain over that boy is worse than I can remember. It said Hiyashi. Tsunade then saw that Hiyashi seemed to be lost and smiled at a memory. Remembering Hana, Hiyashi? When Tsunade asked. Hiyashi agreed and said, she just likes her Okasan. Before he left the room, Hiyashi let go of the door handle and said, if she wakes up today I'll ask her and send her over. If not, she'll be over in the morning. The Hyuga head then shut the door. Had a smile on his face as he looked at Jiraiya. So should we head to see Otouto reaction to his house? Asked Tsunade. Jiraiya got up and rubbed the big bump on his head. The two of them then left the office. Now you understand why I'm mad at Jiraiya, Kakashi said with another nod. Even though I and the village were told, he knew he was his Masuko. He had to have known, and so did Sarutobi. Demo, if you were told, that would have put him in danger, wouldn't it? Did Iruka ask? When he asked, Kakashi looked at him with surprise. And that's why we didn't tell anyone. Jiraiya said as he and Tsunade walked out into the clearing. Why don't you tell me? He was my teacher. Kakashi asked with anger. At that time, you were still Anbu. He was worried that they'd be able to get it from you if you were caught and questioned. Jiraiya stated, it was Arashi's decision before he died and we weren't going to go against the Hokage's dying wish to keep his Masuko safe. He said Jiraiya. Suddenly, a window to the second floor opened, and Naruto stuck his head out to wave to the adults below. Ero. Senin, Oba. Chan, Kakashi. Sensei, Iruka. Sensei, you have to come see this places, it's so cool. Naruto yelled from the window with a smile. The adults all smiled at how happy the boy was. And to think we haven't even told him who his Atusan is yet. Tsunade said with a smile. I'd prepare for either an emotional breakdown or him passing out on us. He said Jiraiya. You want to bet on that? Tsunade asked with a smile. Jiraiya looked at her as he thought about what she had asked. I'll pass this time. For fear that Tsunade would win, Jiraiya said he wouldn't even try to make the bet. That's never a good sign. Naruto ran down the steps to greet them as the group walked into the house. This place is great. Whoever my Atusan was, they were a very skilled ninja. Everything is hidden, and there are places to hide weapons, scrolls, and other things. Naruto said while jumping up and down and waving his arms around. The boys had already taken off all the plastic from the furniture and stacked it in a corner when the group looked around. I don't know if you teaching him Shushin no Jutsu is going to be a good or bad thing. Kakashi said with a smile as the boy sped past them every few seconds. As the boy was mid Shushin, Jiraiya put out his hand, grabbed him by the collar of his shirt, and stopped him. Ero. Senin. Naruto said angry when he was stopped in the middle of a jutsu. The adults then saw that the boy had changed clothes. Otoudo, where did you find that? Tsunade asked as he looked at his new look. Naruto was wearing a white shirt with flames on the bottom that didn't have sleeves and blue ninja pants. Oh, in the main bedroom. I changed because they fit. Best thing is these don't have sleeves, so I don't have to worry about my paws, Naruto said with a smile. Naruto said this while waving his arms in a circle to show the adults how flexible the shirt made him. Tsunade smiled and said that he wasn't taking it as badly as she was. Oba. Chan, I have a question. Naruto said it was getting serious. Tsunade asked. Who did I serve as a Tucson? Was that Anbu? A kitsune mask hangs above the bed in the master bedroom. It looks like an Anbu mask. They have a kitsune mask, which I didn't know. He said Naruto. They don't anymore, Naruto. You were the last kitsune Anbu, Kakashi told Naruto as he looked at him. Why? Naruto was interested. After Kyuubi attacked, no one wanted to wear out of respect to his sacrifice. Kakashi spoke up. So, can I wear the one in the room? After hearing Kakashi's reason, Naruto asked but didn't want to. Why? Did Iruka ask? 'Cause I can't henge. Since I can't henge, may I wear the mask instead? Naruto asked with a smile. People in Konoha won't be able to see what I look like if I have to go there for something. The teen smiled the whole time, but the adults all looked at him with worry. Gaki, just tell us what's wrong, please. Not to hide everything with that fake smile. But Jiraiya thought. I don't see why there would be a problem. Tsunade spoke up. Yeah. Say, Naruto, I was able to get away from Jiraiya and run upstairs. But what about the Anbu? Question from Iruka. I will just tell them that I let Otouto wear it. They won't care about any of them like Naruto does. She waved her hand at him and said. Naruto was in front of them the next second. One Anbu mask said, so? He asked with his arm crossed in front of his chest. Everyone was shocked by how the boy looked. Naruto took the mask off his face when he saw their shock and silence. He then let it rest on his head. Guys? Naruto asked, confused by how they were responding. You would think it was him with that on. Jiraiya was shocked, and Kakashi agreed. Like whom? Otosan. Could someone please tell me who he is? Naruto asked irritatedly. Alright Oto, we'll tell you, but you're going to have to sit for this one. As they sat down in the living room chairs, Tsunade said with a laugh. So? He asked while taking off his mask and setting it on the table in front of him. Alright, Naruto. Let me first tell you and the rest of Konoha why you don't know who your Atusan is. It was mostly to keep you safe. Tsunade spoke up. Safe? What am I safe from? What did Naruto ask? You are enemies of the Atusan. During the Great War, he made a lot of them. What Kakashi said. You know who he is too, Kakashi. Sensei? Naruto was shocked and asked. Hey, I didn't know he was your Atusan until today. I think he didn't have any kids. It's because Kakashi is staring at Jiraiya. Okay, so Atusan had a lot of enemies and that was why I wasn't told and why the villagers weren't told, but who is he? He asked Naruto. Who is the one person you've looked up to all your life? You know more of his jutsu than any other jutsu, too. He said Jiraiya. Naruto laughed out loud and said, that's funny, Arrow. Sennin. The only people I know who have jutsu are the Yondaime. That means I'm his Masuko. And that's exactly what I mean. Jiraiya said with a smile. Naruto stopped and looked at him suspiciously to see if his sensei was playing a joke on him. But everyone else in the room was looking at him with the same expression. He is telling the truth. Naruto's eyes grew wide when he heard the news. People around him knew he was still alive because he would blink his eyes, but other than that, he didn't move or say anything for a long time. The Jiraiya, I believe you heard him. Kakashi joked. The thought kept going through Naruto's mind as he tried to figure out if Jiraiya and the others were telling him lies. Okay, so if the Yondaime was my Atusan, that would explain why he used me to trap Kyuubi and how I can easily use all of his jutsu. But how did no one else notice this? I mean blonde hair and blue eyes. What did Naruto ask? How is it you didn't? He was talking too much in front of Kyuubi, so he asked him. I never thought about it. Naruto said as he looked at Kyuubi. And they probably have never put two and two together either, Kit. He said Kyuubi. He started to smile big and say, I'm the Yondaime's Masuko. When he finally woke up from his coma. Screamed as he got up and ran around the house, saying the same thing over and over. The adults were glad he was able to handle it well and not get upset. So can we tell them? Naruto asked as he appeared in front of Tsunade right away. Tell who? When the boy asked and showed up all of a sudden, Tsunade was confused. Everyone? Naruto waved his hands in the air and asked. Not until things are back to normal for you. You can tell your friends now, okay? Tsunade spoke up. Naruto smiled and nodded loudly, then ran back up the stairs. Bet you're glad you didn't take that bet now, Jiraiya, you would have lost. Kakashi said with a smile. When Hinata got back to the Hyuga compound, she was beginning to wake up from her nap. How did I get in my room? Hinata asked, confused by her surroundings. Someone knocked on her door and said, it's open. What Hinata said. The person opened the door and Neji was inside. Neji. San. Hinata said with a smile as he walked into her room. Hinata. Sama, it's time for dinner. Neji bowed to her and said. Hi, I'll be there in a minute. Just as Hinata got out of bed, she said. After hearing the door close, she thought Neji had left. But when she looked up, he was still there, even though the door was shut. San? When Hinata asked. Do you think they'll be able to help him? Neji asked with worry on his face. I think they'll will. Hinata said with a smile. But what if they can't? I asked Neji. They will, I can tell. What Hinata said. Neji said, they will if you believe they can. You're never wrong about how you feel. Hi, Hinata. That's why you'll be smart. I wouldn't be the best person to be head San. As she walked by and opened the door, Hinata said, you are. After that, she left. There was shock in the room when she said that a branch member would be a better leader for the house than a main house member. He smiled at what she said and then went into the dining room with the others. Hiyashi, Hanabi, and Hinata were already sitting down with their tea when Neji walked in. After Neji sat down, his tea was brought to him. Hiyashi thought it was time to talk to Hinata about what the Hokage had asked while they were waiting for their food. Hinata. Hiyashi said, getting the attention of all the younger ones. Hiyashi looked at Hinata and began to speak again. I told Hokage Sama about Uzumaki-san's situation, he said. Hinata and Neji were both shocked when she told them the news. Ito-san, please don't. Hinata was afraid that her father would hate the boy because of what had happened. I went to see if we could help in any way. Hiyashi said something that shocked the two of them. She said he needs someone to stay with him until they can figure out what's wrong, and she said since he seemed most at ease with you, they thought you might want to stay at his house until they could fix the problem. As long as it helped the boy, I told her I wasn't against it. But I needed to ask you if you were on board. Sure, why not? I asked Hiyashi. At first, everyone in the group was shocked by what Hiyashi said. Everyone was shocked by how fast Hinata moved when she was the first to move. She hugged Hiyashi around the neck right away. Arigato Ito-san. Naruto's offer to be held made Hinata happy. Hachi looked down at his daughter, smiled, and nodded his head as she spoke. She finally stopped touching his neck and sat back down. What would I do? Hinata asked, her face red. Hiyashi saw this and grinned. From what I understand, you'd have to stay with him and shop for him since he can't go into town, but mostly you just need to make sure he doesn't get upset too much. It said Hiyashi. I will do it, Ito-san. I told you I found him, so I know what he's been through since then. I will do this if it will help him out. What Hinata said. Okay, you need to go to the Hokage's office right now and tell her what you've decided. I'm sure the choice you made will make her happy. It said Hiyashi. When Hinata said, yes, their food was brought out, and they began to eat lunch. Naruto had been upstairs for an hour and still hadn't come down. It's awfully quite up there. He said this while looking up at the ceiling. He's just exploring what his Ito-san left him. Iruka said with a smile. He's right, even with Otouto there should be some noise. It was Tsunade who agreed with Jiraiya. Well, how about we go up and see what he's doing? Kakashi told the others about it. They said, yes, and went up the stairs to find the teen. When they got upstairs, they saw that all the doors were closed except for the one to the master bedroom, which had a small crack in it. Tsunade was the first person to walk in, and she smiled when she saw what she saw. Naruto was asleep on the bed, with his father's kitsune mask still in his paw and lying on his chest. Well, that's why he was so quiet, knew it was too good to be true. Jiraiya said, which led Tsunade to elbow him in the gut. Well, since he's asleep, I'm going head back to the office and see if his new roommate is there yet. Smile, Tsunade said as they left the room, and she closed the door behind her. New roommate? Did Iruka ask? It was a yes from Tsunade. Hi, Hyuga Hinata. It was said. But why Hinata? Iruka asked in shock. Iruka, Hinata was there when we found him for the first time. When he saw what Orochimaru did to him, he was very confused and wouldn't leave. He wore that torn cloak because of that. Sad, Kakashi said. There were a few times, but Hinata was able to calm things down. She was the first person to find him and help him, I think. He's tried to act fine since then, but everyone knows he's trying to hide how he really feels. Jiraiya spoke with sadness in his voice. Hi, and we can't leave him here by himself if his emotions are all messed up. Tsunade spoke up. Iruka nodded to show that she got it. So since Hinata can keep him calm, I asked Hyuga Hiyashi to see if she'd agree to come and stay with him, as sort of a caretaker until we can change him back. Tsunade spoke up. But what if, sad, Iruka said. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Now that we know what went wrong, we can undo it. Like every other jutsu, this one has a trigger that can undo it. We just need to figure out what it is for this jumbled jutsu. It could be a mix of the two jutsu, or it could be something completely different. I don't know yet. Right. He said Jiraiya. Then I'm going back, Jiraiya. Please wait here until I bring Hinata. Even so, that might not happen until tomorrow. Please help me if you leave him alone to go peeping. You'll never have to worry about going again. Tsunade made threats at him and then left. Jiraiya took a deep breath when she said, evil woman. Iruka just frowned at the man, and Kakashi laughed. Ma, I think it's time for me to go outside too. It's time to relax. I think I might have some guests over in a bit. Kakashi said with a smile. I'll join you. Iruka spoke up. Fine, leave me alone. They yelled as they turned around and went back to the woods. As they ran off into the woods, Jiraiya yelled at them. As the two men jumped from branch to branch, Iruka called out to Kakashi, Kakashi. Kakashi replied without looking at him. Who do you think will be waiting at your house? Did Iruka ask? The time has passed, so I think Sakura and Sasuke are already there. They had time to go home and rest. I have no idea if Naruto's other friends are there. What Kakashi said. If Sasuke and Sakura are there, most likely the other will be there too. Kakashi agreed with what Iruka said. They were soon back in Konoha and on their way to Kakashi's house. They saw that the teens were already there, waiting for the man who was always late to get home. Kakashi. Sensei, where is Naruto? Sakura was worried that they wouldn't be able to find him. Sleeping at his house. Kakashi said with a smile. Will you take us there? Ino inquired. Kakashi said with a smile. And why not? Ino thought as a vein in her head twitched. Because everyone's not here, Kakashi said with a smile. Hinata was waiting for her to come back while sitting in a chair in front of the Hokage's office. She heard footsteps coming down the hall and turned around to see Tsunade walk out of the doorway. Hinata. So what's your choice? Tsunade asked with a smile. I will do it. Hinata answered. Okay, I'll set everything up as a longer mission. I think you should go to Kakashi's house. It's likely that the others are already there, waiting to be taken to Otouto's house. You can start tomorrow since it's getting late in the afternoon. Tsunade answered. Actually, Hinata told Tsunade, who turned to look at her, I packed enough for 2 weeks, so I can start today if that's okay with you. I have no problem in it, just ask Otouto what he wants to do. She said this and went into her office. That's it. Hi, Azumo. Tsunade spoke up. The two showed up in front of me in an instant. Go find the Ambu squad, tell them I need to talk to all of them ASAP. Tsunade spoke up. Hi. They said, and then they were gone in a puff of smoke. Hinata got her backpack, left the building, and went to Kakashi's house. What are you talking about, Kakashi? Sensei? Angry, Ino asked. He said, Hinata. Shino. Nani? Ino asked because she didn't hear what he said. Hinata's not here, Ino. Pig. Sakura said that she was getting annoyed with how Ino was acting. That's when Hinata ran down the path. Ah, here she is now, we can, Kakashi said, but he was cut off. From the path, someone yelled, Iruka. Sensei. As everyone turned around, Konohamaru, Moegi, and Udon were seen running down the path. They looked worried. They ran up to Iruka and stopped short of air. Nani? What's wrong with you three? What did Iruka ask? Naruto. Ni. San, have you seen him? Konohamaru asked with worry. Hi, he's at his house. Iruka said with a smile. Nu. We just came from there and he didn't answer us when we called for him through the door. It said Moegi. Through the door? Are you talking about his apartment? Iruka asked, not sure what to think. Yeah, where else would Ni San live? Konohamaru said he didn't understand what his teacher was asking. The door was open? When Iruka asked, she was worried. The three of them nodded. Iruka's eyes grew big in an instant, and he ran toward Naruto's old apartment. Kakashi. Sensei? Sakura asked, looking at him with worry in her eyes. Let's go, something's not right. Kakashi said that he didn't trust what the three had just said. After that, the group went to Naruto's apartment by following the path Iruka took. Some of the group were surprised by where Naruto lived as they got deeper into the area. Most of the homes were either in bad shape or had been taken away. Also, there were a lot of people walking around who didn't look very friendly. Are we going the right way? Did Choji ask? Hi, Naruto. Ni. San's apartment is over this way. Konohamaru said that what he was seeing didn't bother him. When they got to the door, Iruka walked out while frowning and shaking his head. Girls, I want you to hang out with the Konohamaru Corps. I want you to come inside, boy. Iruka spoke up. Demo Iruka. Sensei, Konohamaru began to protest. Do you understand that you will stay here with the girls? Iruka yelled at them very loudly. Everyone was shocked when the teacher yelled and got mad, but the three kids quickly agreed because they didn't want to make their teacher even more angry. He let out a sigh and ran his hand through his hair. Iruka. Sensei, what's going on? Sakura was worried about how he would react. He knelt down in front of Konohamaru and the others and said, "Listen, I'm sorry I yelled at you, but I don't want you to go in there. He's fine now that he has a new house. There you go. Kakashi. Sensei and I will take you all to see him soon." The three agreed with what he said. Demo Iruka. Sensei, Naruto? Sakura was scared. Sakura. Iruka gasped, "I need for you to tell them Naruto's story, everything and about what they might see, okay?" That the law? Ino inquired. Tsunade will make an exception because he is Naruto's grandson and friends with Masuko and Asuma. He should know, Naruto would probably want him to. Iruka said. He turned around and opened the door again, calling out, "Boys, come on." After that, Iruka walked into Naruto's apartment, and the boys were right behind her. Kakashi chose to stay out with the girls so that he could answer any questions they might have about what he was about to tell them. Just what does he mean? Why does San have a story? When Konohamaru asked. Who's going to tell them? All the girls sighed. Tenten asked as he looked around. Forehead. Girl, he's your teammate and you've known about it the longest, tell them. Ino spoke up. Sakura smiled. Alright, listen you three, because I'm only going to tell you once about Naruto's life, it said Sakura. She then told them about the Kyuubi attack and how the Yondaime turned the demon into a boy, who turned out to be Naruto. But the Kyuubi isn't Chan. It was Konohamaru who spoke out against what they were being told. Right, Konohamaru. Kun, Naruto. Kun isn't Kyuubi, they are two separate beings. What Hinata said. But how? Moegi asked, not sure what to think. Think about it this way. The Kyuubi is in jail, and Naruto is the guardian. He makes sure that the prisoners stay in their cells and don't hurt anyone else. Sakura tried his best to make it clear to the three of them. They agreed with this explanation. The girls were glad they knew Naruto wasn't a Kyuubi. After that, they told them about Akatsuki and the fight. Once we had killed them all, Naruto was exhausted, but Orochimaru showed up. It said Sakura. Konohamaru yelled. He kidnapped Naruto before any of us could react. Sakura said while trying hard not to cry. He killed my OG. San, and now he takes San away. Konohamaru yelled in anger. The two of us were able to get Naruto back, but Orochimaru hurt him in some way. Others, including Jiraiya, Sama and others, are going to try to figure out how to fix Naruto. Kyuubi is also helping, but only we can see him right now in Konoha. What Hinata said. Udon asked, why? That can't be told, you'll see when we go visit him in a little bit. Kakashi now spoke up. The three nodded to show that they got it. And while Naruto's story was being told to the Konohamaru Corps, the boys and Iruka looked at what was left of Naruto's room. That wasn't much anymore. That's what was left of the bed. It was torn in half, with the spring and insides on both the bed and the floor. A machete, which was used to cut it open, was still in the bed. Monster, demon, and Dai's walls were written all over. No furniture was left standing because it had all been broken or cut in half. The food that had been in the fridge was on the floor, and it smelled like it had been there for days. Someone would have opened a window for fresh air if the windows weren't broken. He kept plants, but they were broken out of their pots, and there was dirt all over the floor. The person who broke in took the clothes and towels and tore them all up. What the hell happened? Kiba was shocked and asked. The room was a mess. Villagers. I can't believe people would do that to Naruto, Shikamaru said. How do you know it wasn't ninjas? Lee inquired. That's true. Ninjas would have used jutsu on Naruto's stuff, but this is just trash and destruction that anyone can do. Looking around, Sasuke said, every once in a while, my eyes flash red. So what can we do? Choji felt upset at the scene and asked. Nothing. It was sad that Iruka said, we don't know who they were, so we can't do anything. The boys looked at him. Then why did you bring us in here? Shino inquired. She picked up one of the small plants, put it back in its pot, and walked away. It doesn't matter because Naruto isn't going to live here anymore. I'm glad he didn't see this. You need to search through the rooms and get what you can. The trash has old ramen boxes next to it. Use those, and when they're full, use the trash bags under the sink. Iruka spoke up. The boys went to the things Iruka had told them to get and began to look through them to see if anything wasn't completely broken. Iruka saw a bunch of frames on the ground. He went over and grabbed them. He could see Naruto from the time he became a genin with Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi. She liked the picture and smiled. The frame and glass were broken, but the picture was still fine. He took the picture out of the frames and opened them back up. Sasuke, who was working on other pictures, had a box on Naruto's bed. Iruka put the picture in with the others. The boys picked up what they could find in each room, but it was only enough to fill one box. Iruka. Sensei, this is all we could find that was still okay. She was upset that they couldn't find more. Iruka grinned. One good thing about them being villager is they can't find all of Naruto's stuff. That's when Iruka pulled on what looked like a wall. It fell to the ground right away, revealing itself to be a piece of fabric. She opened the door that was hidden behind the fabric. Please clean out this room and leave nothing in it. That will be clean, and then we'll go see Naruto. She said it and left. The boys were shocked that they hadn't seen the secret door. They said yes, went into the room, and were even more shocked by what they saw. Some shelves had shurikens and kunais lined up, and there were scrolls on top of scrolls and books along the walls. There were even a few practice dummies. One looked like Kakashi was sitting on the floor, and dust was gathering on it. Another looked like Orochimaru, and there was a target with shurikens and kunais embedded in it that was hanging up. It took the boys 10 minutes to pack up all of their things into the boxes. They used 5 boxes and 3 bags to move everything out of the apartment. The group then left, Iruka shut the door, and they went downstairs. Good, now that that's done, we'll head to see Naruto. Iruka said she was happy with their salvage work. Hey Iruka, do you remember where it is? Kakashi asked quickly. Hi, why? There was a raised eyebrow as Iruka asked. I'm going over to Tsunade Sama and report what happened. What? Kakashi said. Hi, do that, I can take care of them. Iruka spoke, and Kakashi was gone in an instant in a puff of smoke. The Anbu squad had just arrived back at Tsunade's office. Hokage. Sama, you wish to speak to us? The Anbu captain with a dog mask asked her. Hi, and you can relax and take off your masks in here, Tsunade said with a smile. The group saw that the doors and windows were locked and nodded as they took off their masks. Yamato, I need to ask you something. This is what Tsunade told the Anbu captain. The group was now following Iruka to Naruto's new home, which they learned was right in the middle of Konoha's forest. It was while they were traveling that Kiba saw Hinata's backpack. Hinata, what's with the backpack? Kiba questioned. It's for an extended mission Hokage. Sama asked me to do. Hinata said with a blush. Nani? The Hokage gave you a longer mission to do without us. Kiba spoke out loud. She smiled when she heard what the boy said. Hinata, what's the mission? Hinata asked with a shy nod. Shino inquired. To Hinata spoke, but the boys couldn't hear most of what she said because it was too soft. What did that Hinata do? I didn't understand what you said. Kiba asked her in a confused tone why she was quiet. Shino could tell from the way she was acting that Naruto had something to do with the mission. I'm to stay with Naruto-kun until they change him back. Her voice got a little louder, but Kiba still couldn't make it out. Kibi asked, huh? When Hinata yelled, the group had finally reached the clearing. She quickly put her hand over her mouth and said, I'm going to live with Naruto-kun. That the girl had just yelled shocked everyone, but what she was told to do shocked everyone even more. Hinata got very angry because she was yelling and making her voice so loud that everyone could hear her. This didn't last long, though, because Sakura looked at the 3 kids. You remember what I told you, right? Good, they all agreed. Now remember that he's still Naruto, no matter what he looks like, and we're going to find a way to change him back. Still not sure what they were talking about, the 3 nodded again. All of a sudden, someone from the second story spoke. Huh? I heard my name? A voice asked. Their heads poked out of the house, and they saw Naruto's. He was happy to see them. Mina. Naruto yelled and then ran out of the window. The group heard someone running through the house, and then there was silence. Arrow. Senin. Who told you that you could do your Sube work at my house? Naruto yelled. Ding, ding, ding. They're not Tsukube. They're works of art. Jiraiya yelled back. To you, Kakashi. Sensei and the closet Tsukube. That's all there is to it. For the rest of us, that stuff is gross. Naruto yelled. Just you wait, in a couple of years you'll have my whole collection. Jiraiya said with pride. Eros. Senin, I will never, ever own one of your bad books. Move this stuff along, and let me by my friends are here. He said Naruto. Finally, maybe I can go do research now. He said Jiraiya. You'll be sorry IFOBAA. Chan catches you. Naruto yelled back inside as he left the door. When Naruto walked out, everyone saw that he had changed clothes. What they also saw was that he had a kitsune mask attached to his side. When the three kids saw Naruto, their eyes got really big in shock. The samurai looked at the other people. Naruto didn't see them when he walked up to them. Konohamaru. Moegi spoke with worry in her soft voice. She said he's still the same and they're going to help him. He said this while making fists and shaking with anger over what the man had done to his older brother. As he smiled his way to the group, he felt a lot of things grab him. When he looked down, he saw three kids wearing goggles on him. His eyes got narrow as he looked at Iruka. Why did you bring them? Naruto asked. Are you mad they were there? They were looking for you and well your apartment did. She stopped because she didn't know what to say. They trashed it again, huh? Naruto said as he looked up at the sky. Again? Sasuke was shocked. He rubbed Konohamaru's head and nodded. The boy looked up at him with tears in his eyes. San. Konohamaru said while crying. He knelt down to look at the three kids. His clawed finger was raised, and he smiled at them. I'm alright, a little messed up by the dead hubby, but Oba. Chan is going to fix me up and I'll be back to normal in no time. To try to calm them down, Naruto said, listen, you can't tell anyone about this. Not even your parents or friends. They all said, I can't even tell my Atu-san? Konohamaru asked with worry. You can tell him you know, i.e. He already knows what the hubby did to me. He said Naruto. So I take it that's what's left. He asked the other person as he stood up. Iruka smiled and said, okay, guys, come on in and take a look at what Atu-san left me. With its trap doors, hidden rooms, and other cool features, the whole place is really cool. Naruto began to walk back to his house as he talked. The other people were shocked by what Naruto did. As Naruto and the three blurs that went by him into the house, Jiraiya, who had seen everything, leaned against one of the porch posts and smiled. What was that? Ino inquired. He did it to keep them calm. As he walked up to them, Jiraiya said. The others were shocked that Naruto would think of that. Even if he doesn't seem like it, he'll put others before his own welfare. Gaki, when are you going to show them how you really feel about this? He then walked into the forest and wasn't seen again. While she was back in Tsunade's office, she was still talking to Yamato. Naruto has a problem, so to speak. Tsunade spoke up. All of the Ambu's eyes got bigger. Kyuubi? Yamato asked with worry. Orochimaru. Sad, Tsunade said. Nani? They asked in shock. Orochimaru took Naruto hostage after the battle with Akatsuki. He tried to attack him with the Zinrui no Kisu, but the people who copied it mixed the last two hand seals with another jutsu, and well. Tsunade said that whenever she took out the crystal ball, Sarutobi would always look at what was going on in Konoha. Naruto was shown smiling as he walked into his new home, where members of the Konohamaru Corps were running in and out of the rooms. The Anbu were all shocked by what he looked like. What the hell are those three doing there? Tsunade was shocked and asked. Then Kakashi showed up and said, Tsunade. Sama, we have a little bit of a problem. I wouldn't happen to involve Konohamaru and his friends, would it? Angry, Tsunade asked. When Kakashi saw the crystal ball, he smiled at the kids who were running around Naruto's house. He gave me a smile and scratched his head. We'll sort of. Finally, Kakashi said. When the group finally got inside Naruto's house, they saw that it was pretty big. The boy Konohamaru and his friends ran into each room and looked at everything inside. While the three were doing what they were doing, Naruto stood behind them and laughed. Sasuke asked, "Naruto?" Then Naruto smiled and said, "Take off your shoes and come in. Let me show you around." His group did what he said and got together in a pretty big living room. Naruto stood in front of them and asked Konohamaru and the others to join them in the living room. "Come on guys, I need you in here," he told the three of them. "Demo ni san, there's still a lot more to see," Konohamaru said with joy. Naruto laughed and smiled, "Hey, I know. Let's all come in here and see it together." The three of them kept running to each room, though. Naruto looked at them, raised an eyebrow, and then vanished. In an instant, all that was left of him was a yellow line. Iruka and the rest of the group were shocked by this. They watched the streak as each child went missing and then came back in a pile in front of the group waiting in the living room. Ni san. Konohamaru drank wine. As he stood where he had just been laughing at the pile of kids he had made, Naruto said, "I told you to come on." He smiled and turned around, waving his arms high. "All right, now to show you Atuzan's house." Otouto. Naruto asked them, "Are we ever going to find out who your Atusan is?" Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Sasuke kept being angry. Naruto smiled, took the mask off his side, and spun it on one finger so that it was no longer facing them. He then answered Sasuke's question. He put it on his face with a smile. He pointed with his finger to get everyone's attention. "Did you know the Kitsune Anbu is the highest-ranking Anbu in the entire squad?" He asked Naruto. "Naruto, what are you talking about? The Inu is?" Neji told him the truth. "Now it's the Inu." The others in the group looked at Iruka and said, "Before the Kyuubi attack, the Kitsune was the highest level in the Anbu." "But why doesn't anyone?" Tenten was about to ask when Naruto cut him off. "Kyuubi, when the Kyuubi attacked and the Kitsune Anbu gave his life to save the village," Naruto said, and everyone looked at him. Not many people would wear it after that, so they made the Inu the highest. But then that means, he spoke as the group looked at the mask. "That my Atusan was the last Kitsune Anbu, this is his mask after all." Naruto smiled and took off his mask. "But that still doesn't tell us who your Atusan is." Ino spoke up. "Yes it does. Sure. I wasn't very good at paying attention in class when we were in the academy, but there was one thing, Iruka. Sensei always had my full attention," Naruto said with a smile as he looked at Iruka. "That had to do with Yondaime," he said. Naruto. "Your point is?" Shikamaru didn't understand where Naruto was going with this. "Impatient aren't we?" Naruto asked with a smile. Iruka. "Sensei, since they don't seem to remember all the information you told us about the Yondaime, how about a refresher class?" Naruto asked with a smile. Iruka looked at the other person to see if they didn't mind. The man was already being sat down by Konohamaru, Moegi, and Udon, who wanted to hear what Naruto had to say. The others sat down in chairs or on the floor because Naruto wasn't going to tell them. They wanted their old teacher to explain. Going back to Tsunade's office, Kakashi was standing next to the colleges he used to go to. "Kakashi, this better be good and explain why the Konohamaru Corps is there." Tsunade was mad that the three kids had found out. Kakashi smiled, "You know it would be if I interrupted your meeting with the Anbu." This made Tsunade nod. "Since you have the crystal ball out, why don't you have a look at Naruto's old apartment?" Kakashi said, getting serious. Tsunade gave the man a strange look and did what he said. She didn't think the ball had done what she wanted it to do when it showed her Naruto's apartment. It wasn't an apartment she saw. It was a building site. When everyone in the group saw the words on the wall, they gasped. They saw that the boy's bed, furniture, and clothes had been destroyed. At first, they couldn't believe it. Some of the Anbu were speechless when they saw it. She checked out Kakashi. "This can't be right." Tsunade was shocked. "It looks like it is. Even though this is my first time seeing it." In fact, Iruka was the first one to come in. Kakashi said in a sad tone about what they were all seeing. They were still looking at the ball and were shocked by how messy Naruto's old apartment was. "Do you know who?" Sai asked with anger. Iruka said it had to be people from the village. No one even saw the room Naruto had hidden behind a cloth that made it look like it wasn't there. What Kakashi said. How much more does Otouto have to go through for them to stop this madness? Tsunade asked, shaking with anger at what had been done. They all kept quiet for a while because they were angry that people in their own village would hurt one of their own. The silence was broken by Tsunade's sigh. Yamato, I asked you all to come here because I just told Naruto who Atusan was. He found one of his things and asked for something. Tsunade said and Yamato agreed. You see, with the mixed-up jutsu Orochimaru performed, the boy can't do henge to hide his appearance, so he happened upon his Atusan's old Anbu mask and wanted to know if he could wear it when he came into the village, so the villagers wouldn't see his true form. Tsunade spoke up. I don't see what's wrong with that, but why are you asking? You know this would be okay with me. Yo said he was confused. Because his Atusan was the last Kitsune Anbu. Tsunade said with a smile. The Anbu all let out gasps when they heard this, and Kakashi stood there with a smile on his face. He's Kazama. Sama's Masuko? Abu the Hawk asked. Hokage. Sama, please give me a moment. I will return, Tsunade said with a nod. Yamato said and then vanished. Several minutes later, he came back with a package. Yamato? Tsunade asked as she looked at the package. Since the Kitsune Anbu left, this has been taken care of by each Anbu captain. Please give it back to his family. Yamato said with a smile. Tsunade and Kakashi were shocked when they saw the brown, wrapped package. They knew what was inside and were shocked that the Anbu had kept it for so long. Are you certain? Could he also wear this? Asked Tsunade. Yamato smiled. Hi, it doesn't have his Atusan's rank on it, so it will be alright of him to wear it. Give it to him, please. He would love to see you all, I'm sure. Smile at them, Tsunade said. Well, Yamato didn't want to go see the boy. Common senpai, we haven't seen him in forever, Onegai. Tobaki, a woman in a hawk mask, asked. The other looked at him and begged him to go see the boy. Yamato sighed and thought, I guess I'm outnumbered on this one. Alright, Hokage. Sama and I will go see the boy, and then we'll go to his apartment to try to figure out who trashed it. Yamato ended in a serious. The other people agreed, showing that they knew what was being said and wanted to follow suit. The group was now sitting and waiting for Iruka to start telling them more about the story they had heard in class. As I said in class, the Yondaime killed the Kyuubi with a forbidden jutsu until the laws changed. From then on, I always talked about what the Yondaime did to become our Hokage. To begin, his real name is Kazama Arashi, and his Junin sensei was Jiraiya. Iruka said that this is when he was cut off. Wait, you're telling us the Tsukube that is Naruto's sensei now was the Yondaime's sensei? Ino inquired. Yes, Iruka agreed. Right, all the Sannin are around 50 years old. Just don't tell Oba-chan that. It was Naruto who said it. Naruto gave Iruka a big smile and said, Jiraiya taught the boy for most of his life until he became a Junin. Iruka went on. What about his teammates? Lee inquired. Sadly, both were killed a little after they were made Chunin. Sad, Iruka said. This made the other people angry too. Once he because Chunin Arashi. Sama took on Genin himself. Iruka spoke up. He asked, who? Well, the girl, I don't know her last name, but we just called her Rin. The other two, she smiled at Naruto and then turned to look at Sasuke. The man's pause made Sasuke look at him and then at the other person. Were a Hitaki Kakashi and Uchiha Obito. Iruka spoke up. The new thing made Sasuke and Sakura's eyes widen. They yelled, Kakashi. Sensei. Yo. At the shout, Kakashi showed up. When they turned around, they saw Kakashi with Tsunade and the Anbu squad behind her. The teens ran in front of Naruto to protect him, but they didn't know that Anbu liked him. Sakura and Naruto both smiled when they saw Yamato. A lot of people were telling Naruto not to go as he walked in front of the group. He smiled as he walked up to Yamato. Hey Yamato. Then Naruto turned to look at his other friend and asked, Sai, what's going on? The other kids were shocked that the boy knew some of the Anbu squad members. The two of them smiled at the boy. Not a lot, Naruto. What have you been up to? Toyo asked. Oh, I could be better, hubby, kidnapping you using a mixed up jutsu that make you look like a bakemono and put your emotions on the fritz. Other than that, I'm good. Naruto said with a smile. Otouto. Tsunade was shocked. Nani? Naruto asked himself what he had done wrong. You don't seem to be having a problem with your emotions now. Sai spoke up. Familiar area, with people I know. That's good. Naruto said with a smile. Is there anything in particular that does even better? Yamato asked in a sneaky way. Because Naruto couldn't hear the tone of the question, he answered honestly, Hinata. Chan. The group looked at the Hyuga heiress, who was 3 shades of red and about to pass out because of the boy's answer. Yamato laughed in secret so the boy wouldn't know that the girl liked him. In the meantime, Tsunade had to hold on to a chair so she wouldn't laugh out loud at how stupid the boy was. What are you guys doing here? What did Naruto ask? I asked them about the mask. Tsunade said after she had calmed down. Toshin asked, and? That's fine with us. With enough practice, you might be able to become Anbu in a year. He said Yamato. Next year, try next month. Shikamaru said in a casual way. Oh, and why is that? Sai asked, interested in this. He took on 6 auto nins by himself and only left 1 alive for questioning. Shikamaru spoke up. The other kids were amazed at what the boy had done, but he wasn't showing any pride. Instead, he had his head hung low and a sad look on his face. Naruto, it's alright. He put his hand on Yamato's shoulder and said. He then turned around and smiled, but the Anbu knew it wasn't real. After that, he looked at Kakashi. So you want to tell them? He asked Naruto. Who was that Arashi? Sama teacher? That's why Iruka is making sense. Kakashi said with a smile. So it's true? Toshiko asked. That made Kakashi nod. And you had a teammate who was a Uchiha? Question from Sasuke. And you didn't tell us why? Kakashi asked again. They yelled together. He put his hands over his ears because of this. Didn't seem important at the time. Kakashi said in a casual way. They screamed in anger, which made Naruto cover his ears even more and wince in pain. Naruto? Scared for his friend, Sai asked. He looked at him and said, too loud. Naruto spoke with a bit of pain in his voice. When other people saw this, they tried to tell the two to be quiet. Ino finally hit Sakura in the side with an elbow. Itai Ino. Pig, why did you? When Ino pointed at Naruto, who had tears in the corner of his eyes from the noise, Sakura stopped. While Sasuke was still yelling at a happy Kakashi, Sakura grabbed him from behind and covered his mouth as she turned him around to look at Naruto. Sasuke's eyes got bigger when he saw how upset the boy was. When Sakura put her arms around Sasuke, he fell asleep right away. She opened his mouth, and he walked up to the boy. Naruto was now squatting on the ground, and Sasuke was bending over and sitting on the balls of his feet. When he put his hand on the boy's shoulder, the boy jerked back and looked at him with fear in his eyes. It's okay, Naruto. Sasuke said in a calm voice, but Naruto stayed alert. Then Sasuke looked at Hinata. She walked over to Naruto, put her arm around one of his, and pulled it away from his ears. Naruto. Kun? She said softly. It looked like he was lost, and then he smiled and asked, are they done now? Naruto begged him to ask. Hinata laughed and said, good. They stood up, and Naruto looked over at Iruka. Everyone was worried about the boy, but he didn't see it because he wanted Iruka to finish the story. Iruka. Sensei, you stopped? Naruto drank wine. The other people were amazed at how quickly he could change directions. Iruka smiled at him even though she was scared. As I was talking, Rin, Uchiha Obito, and Hitaki Kakashi made up Arashi. Sama's Genin team. When the Great War began with Iwa, they were with him. Arashi. Sama lost one of his genin a few weeks before the war ended, which was sad. Iruka spoke up. Iruka looked at him and sighed. The man nodded because he was the only one who knew this. A few weeks before the war ended, we lost Obito. He died while saving Rin and me from a rockslide that was caused by jutsu. Because I had already lost an eye from being cut by a kunai, he gave me his Sharingan before he died. That Sasuke is the reason I only have one Sharingan. What Kakashi said. After that he came back in and stood next to Tsunade. He smiled at what he heard. After that, because of what he did in the Great War, Arashi Sama was asked to become the next Hokage, as the Yondaime. Also, this is a little while before Orochimaru left us. He thought the Sandaime would pick him because he was the best student. Iruka spoke up. It was hard for Baka to believe that our sensei would choose someone less experienced but twice as good instead of him. Of course, that could have been because he was my student. Jiraiya said with a smile. He got hit in the head because of this, and Naruto laughed. At least he didn't turn out to be a Tsukube like you. Tsunade was angry. But that still doesn't explain about the Kitsune Anbu mask. He said Shino. As we said, the mask goes to the most powerful Anbu in the squad. Iruka spoke up. Yeah, and? It said Kiba. Well, who's in charge of the Anbu? Sai inquired. The Inu Anbu is. It was Tenten. I give my squad order, but there is someone higher up than me. He said Yamato. The other people in the group looked at him with doubt, but Shikamaru was shocked and had wide eyes. He can't be. Shikamaru yelled. He smiled when he realized what was going on and asked, Shikamaru what? Ino inquired. Okay, who give the Anbu, hell any ninja in the village order on what to do? It asked Shikamaru. The Hokage duh? It said Kiba. Right, so if the Inu Anbu isn't the highest up then who is? After that, Shikamaru asked. The group then looked at Tsunade, who smiled and nodded. The group yelled, Nani. This time, Naruto was ready. He had covered his ears ahead of time, but he was still grinning from ear to ear. There is no way the Yondaime is the dope Satusan. Sasuke told Naruto to look at him. And why not? When Naruto asked, he was angry and crossed his arms over his chest. Sasuke smiled and said, because you're not smart enough to be his Masuko. He growled at him, Teme. And then jumped at him and hit the boy on the ground. Everyone saw them start to roll around and yell at each other. Before she woke up, Sakura sighed and rolled her eyes. She saw that the two had hit each other on the head. They stopped and took care of the girl's wounds. But Sakura. Chanhi, Naruto drank wine. I know, but you're going to ruin your house. Sakura spoke up. Is it really true? They asked Tsunade and Jiraiya. The Yondaime was Naruto's Atusan, right? I asked Neji. I'm Naruto's Atusan. It was the Yondaime or Kazama Arashi. Sarutobi thought he was too old to help with their mission, which is also why there was no Kitsune Anbu after Arashi. I am too busy, he said. Tsunade spoke up. Then how did the Yondaime? Did Choji ask? He used his famous Shushin no Jutsu to get everything done quickly to help the Anbu out when needed. Jiraiya told him. But listen all of you, until we can fix Otouto and tell the village you need to keep this information to yourselves. Tsunade spoke up. The group agreed with what she said. At that moment, Yamato threw the brown package at Naruto. Naruto caught it and looked at it and then at Yamato with a puzzled look on his face. It was your Atuzan's, we've been keeping it safe since we though he had no family. He said Yamato. Naruto tore the paper up with his claws, being careful not to tear what was inside. Hawk Anbu smiled at Naruto as he walked up to him. He smiled and looked back at her. Tobaki, what is this? Naruto asked the Anbu a question while looking at the white cloth. While he was asking, she grabbed him by the wrist and dragged him upstairs, asking, Hinata, will you come with me? Tobaki asked the girl as she walked by. It looked like Naruto was confused as he was being dragged up the stairs, and Hinata looked just as confused after him. I'll be right back. Hello, Yamato. Sama. Tobaki took a song from the stairs. Tobaki, don't be too long. Sai was angry. Hi. The girl's voice came from upstairs. Where is she taking Naruto? When Ino asked. And why did Hinata? Sama have to go too? Neji said it. He smiled and said, don't worry, Tobaki is full of energy, just like Naruto. They get along great. She's like an A. San to him. She's just going to make him better. Yamato said with a smile. Fix him up? Sakura wanted to know. Just wait. Sai said with a smile. The group agreed, and there was silence for a long time. Then Naruto spoke up and said, "No way. Oh my gosh, is it okay that I really wear this because it's so cool?" Yes. There was a smile on the faces of the adults as the kids looked at them. Iruka and Jiraiya were also wondering what was going on. Suddenly, Tobaki ran down the stairs, and Hinata, who was red as hell but walked normally, followed him. "So where is he?" Sasuke inquired. "Behind you." Someone said. His laugh filled the room. When the group looked where the Anbu were, they saw a new Anbu standing with them. The Anbu was wearing a white cloak with a hood. This cloak was different from most Anbu cloaks because it had flames on the bottom and sleeves. People wore sleeves that were very long and ended at the middle of their calf. The hood was also different because it had 2 holes in it, which were used by the Anbu's mask ears to poke through. The jacket was just the right size for the person and showed off all of their muscles. It was also not too tight so that the person could move freely in battle. Red stripes with 2 flame-like strips on the cheeks, 1 on the chin, and 1 coming between the ears made up the Anbu's mask. All of them ended at a certain point, making the person looking at them think they were looking at a fox. Teenagers were shocked by how strong the new person looked, while adults were shocked by how much the person looked like his father, even though you couldn't see any of his features. They still had it? Jiraiya asked Tsunade a question, and she said, "I'll be damn." "Okay, who's the cute Anbu?" With tears in her eyes, Ino asked. Someone laughed and said, "Why Ino, I didn't think you thought of me that way." It said in Anbu. So he reached up and took off the mask. A smiling face then appeared in front of them. They said, "No way." Of course, that was Naruto, grinning like crazy. "Isn't this so cool, and it was a Tuzan's too?" Naruto said with joy. The teens were shocked by how strong he looked. He then looked at Yamato and the others. "So it's really alright?" Naruto asked once more. "Naruto, why wouldn't it be?" Sai inquired. "It's just," Naruto smiled for a moment, but then shrugged. Naruto then turned toward the door and said, "You can all look around inside. I'm going to explore the grounds." He then walked out the door and left the group inside. When Tsunade got outside, she saw that he wasn't there when she went after him. "Ituto?" "Oh no." There was no answer when Tsunade called. When she looked outside and didn't see him, she got scared. "Hokage Sama, I believe he left the ground." When he got close to her, Sai said. When Tsunade realized what had happened, she looked very scared. The other people were still shocked when she looked at them. "What are you all staying here for? Go find him." Tsunade yelled. "That wouldn't be the best thing to do right now, Hokage Sama," he said. Yamato. He made him look shocked that he would not follow her. "Tsunade, wait a minute. He is very emotional right now, and we both know that." Putting his hand on her shoulder, Jiraiya said. First she signed and then she looked at the kids who were there. "Okay, everyone knows where he lives now. I don't know when he'll be back, so I think you should all come back tomorrow. Hinata, you should stay here and get me if he doesn't come back before sunset. Following that, we will begin looking for him." Tsunade spoke up. Ah. They were angry that they couldn't see the rest of the house. The Anbu gave a nod and then vanished in a puff of smoke. "Demo?" Sasuke asked out of worry. "He'll be alright, Sasuke-kun, he just needs time." Sakura told the worried older brother to calm down. Even though he was still scared, Sasuke nodded when she said, "Hokage Sensei." Everyone left except Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Hinata after what she said. "Hinata, come and I'll show you the rooms you can choose from." As Tsunade walked up the stairs, she said. Hinata turned around and smiled at Jiraiya. After seeing the man smile, Tsunade turned around and hit him on the head. "Itai, what was that for?" When Jiraiya rubbed the basketball-sized bump on his head, he asked. "Because I don't want to know what you were thinking about right now. You need to be in my office in 30 minutes so that we can start planning how to change him back to normal." He made Tsunade angry, so she said. Yeah. He replied, "Yes," and then he left the house and went into the forest. When Hinata said this, Tsunade sighed and said, "Don't worry, he won't do anything Sukabe here." She squeaked in fear, and Tsunade laughed. Naruto is here, and he won't let that happen, he said. He may have been with him for 2.5 years, and he sometimes acts like a Tsukube. He's just in the wrong place at the wrong time most of the time. He's a good boy, but he's lonely. Tsunade said that her smile was gone. Oh Naruto-kun, how long have you been hiding from us? Hinata asked her, upset by what she had said. How much sadness do you think you've kept inside? After that, they went upstairs to find Hinata a room. The one she chose was the one closest to the master bedroom, which Tsunade had told her was Naruto's. Hinata, why this one? Tsunade asked with a smile. To which Hinata replied, because it's closest to Naruto-kun's room, and if something happens, he won't have to go far to find me. The answer made Tsunade smile and nod. I need to get back to the office quickly, before Shizune sends the Anbu to look for me. He'll be back in a few hours, so don't worry about her. They are right. He just needs to think. He said Tsunade and left the house. Because Hinata was now the only person in the house, she chose to clean and fix up the other rooms. She looked around the kitchen and saw that there wasn't much to eat or drink. Well, I guess I need to go shopping. She said this and left the house. After a couple of hours, she came back with 4 bags. She put the bags down and took things out of them. Naruto-kun? Hinata yelled because she didn't know if the boy was home yet. The house didn't answer, and Hinata was upset that the boy hadn't come back. I know Hokage. Sama told me to wait, but I'm worried. Hinata said as she left the house once more. She used her Byakugan to find Naruto as she walked outside. She smiled when she found him, which didn't take long. She then jumped into the trees to get to him. It was when she got to the Hokage monument that she finally stopped. Naruto was sitting on top of the Yondaimi's head with his hood down and his blonde hair frizzy from the wind. He just sat there and looked out at Konoha. He never turned around. She went up to him and sat down next to him. After that, he smiled and looked over at her. So this is where you ran off to? Hinata asked with worry. There was no sound from Naruto. He just smiled. It was clear that he had been crying because he still had tears on his face and his new jacket sleeves were wet from where he had wiped his eyes. As he looked out at Konoha, she gave him a sad look. Kit, you need to tell her. He said Kyuubi. Kyuubi can't stay with me, I can't. That is not going to happen, Atu-san. What Naruto told him. I think you'd be surprised with this one, but you'll never know if you don't ask her. That was all Kyuubi had to say. Kyuubi said something, and Naruto frowned but didn't say anything. Hinata finally got up the nerve to talk because of all of this. Naruto-kun, he turned to look at Hinata when she woke up. She turned red and looked at the ground in shock. He was afraid it was because of the way he looked when he looked at her. Anyo, Hokage. Sama, she thought. She spoke, but then she stopped and looked at him, her blushing getting worse. How'd I let him know I'm moving in with him? She asked herself questions. She thought what? He asked Naruto. She thought that you needed someone to stay with you because of what's happened, what Hinata said. Naruto frowned and said, great. I have to keep Ero Sennin with me until I get better. If I get better. She thought it would be best if someone you trust stay with you, so, what Hinata said. Not necessary, I think I can handle Ero Sennin again, Hinata-chan. Why not add a few more months? I did it for 2.5 years before that. Naruto said with a smile. She looked at him with sadness after hearing what he said. When he turned his attention back to Konoha, she saw what the Anbu could see too. She had no choice but to reach out and hug the boy. Oh Naruto-kun, we'll find a way. She said she was trying to cheer him up. Naruto was shocked by what the girl did, so he stopped moving and put his head on her shoulder. But Hinata-chan, what if they can't? Naruto asked, giving some thought to what Kyuubi said. Then she quickly pulled him back and said, Naruto. You can't think that way, kun. We'll figure out how to change you back. But how long until they find it? Will I still be a person? Naruto had a sad thought to himself. Demo Jiraiya. Sama isn't going to be taking care of you, Hinata said with a blush. Oh? Who is? Naruto asked, shocked and confused. Me. Hinata said softly as she bowed her head. And Naruto heard her. He smiled and said, "Really, Hinata-chan, that's great. See, I told you, you should have asked." What Kyuubi told him. The two of them sat there for hours until the sun went down. Hinata was stunned by how beautiful it was. Naruto stood up and gave her his paw when he was done. She agreed, and the two of them went back to Naruto's house. Naruto realized he wasn't hungry as they walked to the door. "Ah, Hinata-chan, I need you to go to the store, I have no food," Naruto said in a sorry tone. "I already did." She said this as she went into the kitchen. "Nani? What did Naruto ask?" When he surprised her by following her into the kitchen, he saw that she had gone shopping and bought enough food for 2 people. "The ramen is here." With a smile, Hinata opened a big cabinet that was stuffed full of ramen. "Hinata-chan, how did you get all that here by yourself?" What did Naruto ask? "I didn't." What Hinata said. "Huh?" Naruto said, "I got it. I didn't need to get any ramen, this is what was left here." She laughed at the look on his face as she spoke. "This was all Atuzan's?" Naruto was shocked and asked. She agreed as the boy ran to the cabinet and looked at all the flavors that his dad liked. Also, he saw that they were all good for 5 more years. "These will be gone in a week." Naruto smiled to himself. "Naruto-kun, what's wrong?" she asked when she saw that his smile suddenly broke. "But I can't eat it with Hashi?" Naruto asked her with a smile, feeling bad that he had forgotten. Hinata smiled. "Hi, I know, that's why I brought some things to help you with eating because of your paws." After they went inside, Naruto took off his jacket and looked at his paws again. He looked up at Hinata's happy face as she took them in her hands. "Don't worry, everything will be alright." What Hinata said, Naruto wasn't sure what it was, but he felt warm. He smiled and nodded at how nice she was to him. He then let out a yawn. "Maybe we should skip dinner, it is late and I think we should head to bed, Naruto-kun." What Hinata said. After another smile and a nod, Naruto went upstairs, and Hinata followed him. He looked at her. "I'll be staying in this room, Naruto-kun, if you need me feel free to come in." What Hinata said. Naruto said, "Yes," and went to his room. Hinata went to hers. The boy was gone as soon as he touched the bed. Hinata did stay up a little while longer to write a report to the Hokage about how she found Naruto and how he reacted to her. She first heard the noise around midnight. Sounds like whimpering, but the sound was strained. What was that noise? She got up from her desk and stuck her head out the door to find out. After hearing it, she knew it wasn't coming from outside because it was coming from Naruto's room. "Oh, Naruto-kun," Hinata said in a sad voice as she walked over to help him with whatever was going on. A Kyuubi about the size of a grizzly bear looked around at him. "Where am I and how am I back to normal?" It was hard for Kyuubi to believe that he was out of the room that was his prison and back to his old self. "I know this place and I've seen it like this before," he said as he took a quick look around. Kyuubi said as he tried to figure out where he was. He smiled as he thought about what he had seen Konoha burn to the ground, though this time the damage was much worse than the first time. The path to the Hokage Tower was made of broken pieces. He walked down them and saw yellow not far away. He had to close his eyes because there was so much smoke from burning buildings. Someone in a black cloak with a hood stood in front of Naruto. He frowned when he saw the person. "I don't like him, he feels too much like the dead hubby." When Kyuubi stood up, the fur on his back growled. He then ran quickly through the destruction to his container to help him. The figure saw him, though, and he was gone in an instant. He kept running, though, and finally caught up to Naruto, who was crying out in pain on his knees. Kit, are you okay?" What person was that? Kyuubi was worried about his container and asked. Naruto kept crying, though, and didn't say anything to Kyuubi. Kyuubi looked at the boy with sad eyes that used to be mean. He got closer to the boy and used 2 of his tails to pick him up. Once, he had put his paw around the boy to try to comfort him, just like he had done with his mate. The boy, who felt warm, put his arms around the fox's neck, hugged him tightly, and cried into his fur. Following some minutes, Naruto stopped crying, and Kyuubi let go of the boy to look at him. Now Naruto looked at the person who had been comforting him and was shocked to see that it was Ayub. "Kyuubi, how are you here?" What did Naruto ask? "I'd like to know that too, but where exactly is here?" Kyuubi asked, trying to wait for the boy to answer. We're in a dream. Naruto spoke up. It sounds like this would be a nightmare for you. How am I? Kyuubi began. I'm not sure. I hope this doesn't make things worse outside. Naruto said as he looked at the ground. It won't, but I'm still unsure how I got here. What Kyuubi said. I don't know, when I arrived here I saw what had happened to Konoha, I just thought I needed someone strong to help me. Naruto spoke up. And your request was answered and I came. The Kyuubi told the boy. Naruto was shocked that he was the one who heard his cries for help. Kit, who was that? The Kyuubi asked. He turned away and said, I don't know. Kyuubi saw that he was lying to him and didn't say anything. Tell me what you've seen. Kyuubi said in order to change the subject. I've seen all of Konoha to see if the damage was everywhere. He said Naruto. And? The Kyuubi asked. It is. I can't find anyone here, and the last place I went was the tower. When I saw how badly it was damaged, I lost it. Kubo, everyone I care about is gone from this place. I understand. Naruto said with tears in his eyes as he looked up at the fox. This is not a dream, Kit. It's a nightmare, and we both know that it's not true. People, all of you are still alive if you just wake up. Kyuubi spoke up. But what if you're wrong? Naruto asked, afraid that the fox might be wrong. Naruto was having doubts, so Kyuubi growled at him, then stay here. I'm going back to my room. There is a lot more beauty there than here in this desert. Kyuubi then began to walk away from Naruto. While he was in the destroy area, Naruto looked around and saw Kyuubi's form moving away. Kitsune, wait up. Naruto yelled and ran after the fox as it ran away. Kyuubi smiled and waited for the boy to catch up. When the boy got close enough, two of his tails grabbed him and lifted him onto his back. Then they left the dream world. Right away, the hooded figure reappeared where they had just been. If you think you can ignore me, Baka, you're sadly mistaken, it said. Something was said, and then it was gone. Naruto felt like he was being shook as they walked into Kyuubi's room. I believe the vixen is trying to wake you. When Kyuubi saw the boy's confused face, he knew what was going on. He was mad at the fox and told her, stop calling her my vixen. This is just a mission for her. Naruto said, I'm mad, as he slowly faded away in front of Kyuubi. There was no sign of the boy after Fox moved to his den and said, Baka can't even figure out the vixen is head over heels in love with him. Kyuubi said as he fell asleep on a pile of pillows. Hi, Naruto-kun. Naruto, kid. In worry, Hinata looked down at the figure she was shaking. He finally woke up and blinked tiredly at the worried girl above him. He rubbed his eyes and said, Hi, Hinata-chan. What's wrong? Naruto-kun, you were whimpering, and when I came in you were asleep crying and curled up into a ball shaking. Hinata told him she was upset about how she had found him. I'm sorry about that. A nightmare, I guess. Smile, Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head. Kit, tell her about it. He said Kyuubi. I think it will scare her. What Naruto told him. Naruto-kun, what did Kyuubi just tell you? When Hinata saw the boy zone, she asked. Huh? I didn't talk to Kyuubi. Naruto lied and tried to look confused as she asked him a question. I enjoy this beauty. Girl, get it out of him. She told Kyuubi that she hoped he'd say it. Stop talking. Naruto told him, angry at what the fox said. I know you're not telling the truth. Whenever you two talk, I can tell. Like right now, Naruto-kun, you take a break. I want to know what else is going on. I want you to see something too. She grabbed his wrist and dragged him into her bathroom. When she turned on the lights, we both had to squint to see. She pushed him in front of the mirror and led him there. Naruto was shocked as he looked at himself. He no longer had human ears on his head. Now he had fox ears. His shocked face turned worried and sad. His ears moved around with his mood and pressed against his forehead. Now Naruto-kun, what's going on? Hinata said she was worried again. Naruto smiled and turned around, rubbing the back of his head. Well, will you look at that, I have kitsune ears now. He was making fun of it, Naruto said. Hinata knew what he was up to, though. After taking him out of the bathroom, she put him back in bed. They sat on the edge of the bed and looked at him straight on. "Onagai, Naruto-kun, what's going on?" Hinata begged. I don't know. I think it'll be best if you leave Hinata. Chan, for your own safety, Naruto said with a sigh because she saw through his act. She was shocked to see that he didn't want to be alone but was scared for her. She didn't do what the person asked of her for the first time. Hinata yelled, "I'm not leaving you alone," and wrapped her arms around his neck. "I won't leave you when you need someone the most. You've been alone your whole life. But I could hurt you," Naruto told her as he pulled away, letting Hinata's arms go off of his neck. He went back to the bed's headboard and curled up into a ball to try to get away from the girl who was trying to help him. Hinata gave him a sad look. As she moved closer to Naruto, he tried to push her away with his paw and hit her hand with one of his claws. He squished his pupils together when he saw her blood and put his head between his knees. "Onagai Hinata. Chan, just go back home and leave me here by myself so I can't hurt anyone," he said in a soft voice. His voice was quiet because he was hiding his head. She looked at her hand and saw that it only had a scratch. A cat could do worse. She fixed it right away, and when she looked up, the boy was curled up into himself. In between sobs, Naruto felt her weight leave the bed. "Onagai Hinata. Chan, leave me alone, I don't know what I'll do to you," he thought. "Kit, don't be a baka, she can help you." Kyuubi was mad at how the boy was acting. Naruto didn't know that Hinata hadn't gone, she had just moved behind him and hugged him again. Because of the touch, he flinched and tried to pull her away, but he couldn't. There was something else in her eyes that he couldn't put his finger on when he looked at her. He was afraid she was mad at him. The way she looked at him calmed him down, and he fell asleep in her arms. As the minutes went by, they stayed that way. Then Hinata began rocking him back and forth with her. He smiled as the warm feeling came back over him. He loved it, but still didn't know what it was. He started to fall asleep slowly in her arms. When Hinata looked at him some more, she was shocked by what she saw. Just before Naruto fell asleep again, his fox ears went away and his human ears came back. What made them change back? She told herself. Thought to himself, well, I'll be damned, so that's what breaks this jutsu, and smiled and laughed out loud. This will make the Hokage go crazy. I need to figure out a way to tell her without the kid finding out.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.